Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, July 10th, a solo edition. No JK on this Thursday morning, but fear not, he will in fact be back next week. We will carry on without him and his insight, but trust he will return. We're talking what's at stake next season for three guys, three players with a lot on the line for various reasons. But I did just want to talk one thing from yesterday. I fully admit that picking Duke as a top team in Syracuse, as I mentioned to Sniper, we're dropping the shoulder, we're swinging for the fences, we're going all out for teams that I think can contend in the ACC. But I'd say one thing: a lot of the negativity, if you will, around Duke is because of the speed or the lack thereof of Victorious Ilgauskas and Andre Ivanov, two guys that are 7'2+, 240 pounds plus. And I think the concerns, let's start with this, are rightfully so. I said this is a team that those guys are not quick, they're not able-bodied. And there were some folks that hopped in the chat and responded and said, look, that's not how you win basketball games, it's how you lose basketball games. Let me just offer this. Last season, we collectively, I think and especially the fans, fell in love with Lamarian Sherwood. Dominant inside presence. You know what Lamarian Sherwood is? He's a 7'+ 240-pound big man that can't move his feet on defense and is not exceptionally quick and athletic. Sounds kind of like Ilgauskas and Ivanov. Now, I'm not sitting here to say Ilgauskas and Ivanov are on their way to being Lamarian Sherwood, though Ilgauskas, you can make the case for, shot 57%, 9.7 boards, give him more usage, which he probably gets this season. I don't think he's Lamarian Sherwood, who was player of the year level, but you can see the opportunity is there for improvement. But I just mention that because I don't want to call it a hypocrisy because that's not fair. The hypocrisy is almost is what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocrisy is concerning. It's negative. I would call it a duality of takes, right? Between Lamarian Sherwood, which we loved, which the fanhood loved, one of the most beloved college basketball players in recent years, unanimously, or maybe not unanimously, but most consistently, high ratings. I mean, you put him in a presidential election, he's going to score through the roof. His game is not dramatically different in terms of the framework of it than both Ilgauskas and Ivanov. Yet we loved what Lamarian Sherwood brought, and we apparently, a lot of folks aren't in love with what Ilgauskas and Ivanov can bring to the table. Again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm right with Duke. I'm well aware that there's some faults with this, but I'm excited for that. It's a boom or bust take with Duke, and I'm okay with that. But let's just not forget that the profile for both of these guys, not dramatically different. Sherwood, let me maintain, Sherwood is the better player. I'm not putting Ilgauskas and Ivanov on that level. Sherwood is also a senior. Ilgauskas is entering his sophomore year. Ivanov a freshman. Let's not forget how dominant Lamarian Sherwood was with a profile that is not that dramatically different than the two big men that Duke have. All right, three guys that I think have very impactful seasons on the season in the season ahead. The first one is Corey Yams, and Corey Yams has had a really nice Trey J SummerSlam. He's been playing really well, and I've said this with Corey Yams. I'm a big believer in Corey Yams. I want to see what he does with a larger workload now. 11 points per game last season, shot 60%. He is as traditional of a big man as you can find. Now, that's good at the college level. You need to be able to stretch the floor just a touch bit more at the next level if you want to be not only good but also efficient. I've said that many times. If you look at the elite bigs in today's game, it's not the paint-bound centers. What Corey Yams brings that a lot of the other big men in today's game don't is he's exceptionally athletic. And I think, he could profile as a guy that could become a Miles Turner. My concern with Corey Yams has been when we've seen him be given the larger workload, he hasn't quite taken over that, right? He's exceptionally efficient on low volume. There's a very logical train of thought that says, well, you ramp up the volume and the efficiency goes with it. I'm of the belief that can happen. But I think this season is exceptionally important for Corey Yams to accomplish that. Because right now, I think his viewpoint, I think he's a fringe lottery guy. Depending on who you ask, maybe it's higher or lower in that range. So he's a fringe lottery guy. But his upside is top 10. If you can find a team to say we believe in his defensive switchability, which he has a lot of, and we believe in his offensive potential, I think he's very easily a slashing big who can defend multiple positions from the 3 to 5, which is not easy to do, and be a 10-year player at the SWBA level. That exists for Corey Yams. What this season could move is, does that ceiling move for him? Can he be a higher volume scorer, and can he be a multi-level scorer? Right now he's a one-level scorer. He's a great interior presence. He gets rebounds. He attacks the glass. There's a lot of guys that can attack the glass at the next level. Corey Yams, the big pressure right now for him is, can he expand the game under head coach Tommy Lloyd with the Wildcats? If he can do that, his profile changes from fringe lottery to top 10 pick. A guy that you can see, I don't know if he's ever going to quite reach the level of he's the number one guy on a championship team. I don't know that that's there. You can start getting yourself convinced it's there with Corey Yams. But I think there's at least the sense of, we think he can be a Isaiah Hartenstein, 20-plus minute guy on a championship winning team. Maybe the ceiling becomes, and I don't think he's defensively there, but a Rudy Gobert type, defensive player of the year caliber, a Mitchell Robinson, right? Very athletic, springy, attacks the glass, rebounds well. The concern that I have for him expanding his game is that 57% shooting from the free throw line. Free throw, if you don't shoot well from deep, but you have a decent free throw rate that says it's repeatable, the form is there, but it needs to be consistent. That doesn't exist for Corey Yams. And so to me, can he be different? Can he be different from what he's profiled as, which right now is athletic big man, can defend multiple wing positions and inside, is going to attack the glass, and is going to be a slasher to the paint. That's not a bad profile. Let's make this very, very clear. That is not a bad profile for Corey Yams, but that peak is the third best guy, the fourth best guy, the fifth best guy. Third might be honestly pushing it. The fifth best guy on a championship winning team. There's other ways to get there, right? There's other ways to get there. You can add an assist game if you're a Draymond Green type, but even Draymond shoots better from the free throw line. You can be a dominant inside big man in the same vein that DeMarcus Cousins was. But even DeMarcus Cousins had his ability to move the floor even just to the mid-range. That flexion of the floor is going to matter for a guy like Corey Yams. And if he can profile that and showcase that this season, the ceiling for him changes dramatically. Player number 2, let's head to UConn, Fareed Redmond. Fareed Redmond was a great scorer for the Beast of the East back in his prep days. He was a really, really good scorer last season for the UConn Huskies. I did this exercise with Sniper about who's the guy right after Jalen Williams went off in Game 4 of the SWBA Finals. Who's the guy that you can see as a future Jalen Williams? Fareed Redmond's a guy I could see as a future Jalen Williams. Entering his junior year, had a really, really nice sophomore season. 16 points, 46% from the from the field, 35% from deep, 71% free thrower. He's got the range of the wing at 6'7". He's got some decent size at 198. Let's call it 200. If he can get 10 more pounds of muscle, add a little bit more physicality. What does Fareed Redmond do this coming season for a UConn team that's trying to put together an improvement from last year? There's a lot of openings for this guy and this squad, right? You're coming back as the lead scorer on a team that was 500 but made some noise in hoops area, even if it was just a whimper. You're a very veteran squad, just 3 newcomers to this team. Otherwise, you're bringing back everybody from a year ago. And so the locker room is paved for Fareed Redmond to be that guy. Can he showcase it? And can he showcase it as it relates to winning basketball? Now, basketball and especially college basketball, it's not one guy that's going to change things in one direction, right? But at the SWBA level it is. And one guy can carry an offense and really elevate a team in ways that other sports it just doesn't exist on. So I'm very interested to see what Fareed Redmond does. If he can improve as a three-point shooter, we're not talking 40%, get to 38, because a 38% shooter is not only just about league average, but it also tells you there's going to be stretches where that number is going to jump. Now, there's going to be stretches where that number dumps, right, down below 38. That's why it's an average. But there's going to be long stretches where you become a really good three-point shooter. If you can consistently sit at 38, the 40 is obviously the number you want to get to, but if he can get to 38, I think that changes his view. Right now, I would expect him to be a mid-first-round pick. You like the wing at 6'7", you like the scoring ability, you like the versatility because of his size, but there's a little bit of meat still left on the bone. If Fareed Redmond can come in and can showcase himself as a scorer, as a three-level threat, and as a three-level legitimate threat, 35% you have to pay attention. But a guy like Jonathan Kuminga is a three-level threat if you're talking 35%. That's the range of 35. I see you. I can't ignore you completely, but I'm not going to pay too much attention. That's 35. You get to 38, you get to 39, I've got to sell out. And that changes everything for the floor for a guy like Fareed Redmond who finished very well inside the paint, who's very good downhill, who's got the size and explosiveness to be able to get into the paint against defenders. But that's more beneficial when a defender has to close out quickly, right, and not just meander out there. Jonathan Kuminga struggles because teams don't respect him as a three-point shooter. So when he's got 6 feet of space from deep or he's wide open because the floor has shifted to cover somebody else, you don't get all-out closeouts on him. When you start shooting 38%, you do. And a guy like Kuminga, like Fareed Redmond, you get to 38%, and that all-out sellout with Redmond's ability on the ball to attack immediately off the dribble, that starts shifting the floor for him. So can he become a better shooter this season for UConn? Can they be a better team than they were a year ago with those 3 newcomers? He proved last season, give him volume, he can score. That's great. I talked about Garrett Hart. He scored 17 points per game. That's great. That's high-volume guys. Can Fareed Redmond add high efficiency? Corey Yams has got the efficiency with low volume. Fareed Redmond, can he get to high efficiency, higher efficiency off of this usage? And then the third guy, DeMario Duval. Let's go back to Duke. Why am I interested in DeMario Duval? Duval was a really great scorer in his time in college, and last season just did not showcase it. And he's now entering his junior year, scored 10 or 11 points a game, did not do it well. I think this is a big season for Duval. If he were to go out, I would expect him to be a second-round pick just because of those inefficiencies on the offensive side of the ball. He's a good, not terribly big, but also not undersized at the guard position. Got to find a way to be more impactful, though, with the basketball. 26% is not going to get you to the SWBA. 39% from the floor is not going to get you to the SWBA. But the hope is there, right? 81% free throw shooter. Again, back to Corey Yams, 57%. Duval at least has that repeatable action. The form is there. The hand-eye coordination, the understanding of target and ball is there. It's a matter of making that with quicker needed decisions, with a quick closeout. Can DeMario Duval get to that? He showcased that multiple times in his college days or in his prep days that he could be that guy. And if this Duke squad, and this has nothing to do with me hoping that Duke can, take it all the way and be what I've said they are, they'll be whatever they are. I'll be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times, and that's fine. But if this team is going to be a contender in an ACC, which really is wide open, it's wide open because there's just the names aren't there anymore, then what does Duval has to play into that? Duval has to be the type of guy that moves the floor, the type of guy that scores off the ball, the type of guy that creates on ball. You cannot be a point guard in any level of basketball and not be getting more than 3 assists. He had 2.5 last season. So it's imperative for Duval right now to add some pieces to his game. Add the ability to score from multiple levels. Add the ability to score really in general on actual usage and not just rely on free throws. If he can get there, Duval's profile changes. I still think he's probably a 2 years left in college guy. I don't think he's coming out this year as his junior year, which doesn't help you a lot as a 6'2" guard. There's a lot of 6'2" people on planet Earth there's not a lot of 6'7". It's going to help you out. You put together that portfolio, that profile. You're 6'7". People are going to care a little bit more. Can Duval be impactful on the basketball and move himself into a first-round draft pick range? If he can do that, I think you see Duval come out. But it's going to be really important for not only Duke, but also Duval, for him to have a pretty big uptick this season. Those are the three guys, Duval, Corey Yams, and Free Redmond, that I'm interested in. There's a lot more, but those are three guys coming into really impactful seasons for multiple different reasons. Draft stock can move. Duval, I think, needs it more than anyone. I think Redmond and Yams should be coming out next season regardless. They're probably first-round picks if they do. DeMario Duval, if he doesn't come out, you start to really wonder about his prospects at the next level. All right, we're back tomorrow morning with Yells on the show. I appreciate y'all tuning in here on SimWorld TV. Only place you can see the game, be the game.